Hey guys, it is Ash and Saf on our final video, maybe TBD here on the channel, talking about Dragonheir Silent Gods. This is a sponsored video and a sponsored channel. Thank you, Dragonheir Silent Gods, for making that possible. Saf, we ended on a very negative note for a sponsored video. We were pretty damn negative on the last one, talking about why we hate the seasonal model, or at least the way that it was implemented in this game. But first of all, before we, talk about what we change in Dragonheir, if it was to come back, I want to ask you, we don't know anything inside baseball or anything like that, but what do you think the chances are that this game lives on, whether it's, who knows, it's sold to a different company, or, the powers that be decide to relaunch it at some point inside the US? Just, again, a spitball in here. What do you think? Do you think it's likely this game lives on in some capacity in the future?
I don't know. And the reason why I'm not sure is it depends on the conviction that they have to fix the seasonal model, because I feel like the game is always going to be held back by the problems we talked about in part one of the video, where, if you don't have an underlying fix for the seasonal model, then players are always going to be in exactly the same position, whether in season 5, season 6, right? You're only making the problem worse. So if there is a conviction to fix the core fundamental seasonal model, then it's a great game. There's a lot to like about Dragonheir Silent Gods. It just has so many, it has a couple of very huge mistakes that fundamentally make the game flawed. But as a product, as a good gameplay and the experience that you have, it's one of the least predatory gacha games I've experienced.
No pop-ups. It's nothing. Comparatively, it's very free-to-play friendly compared to the other ones that we play, right? I was on a call with no humble brag, but a business exec, and he was talking about, we were talking, just kind of messing around before our meeting, talking about all these gacha games, right? And, he doesn't have any skin in any of these games, right? And he's like, dude, I'm really bummed out about Dragonheir. He's like, I thought that game at its core had a ton of promise compared to even other Raid and the other ones that we play on a daily basis. So I thought it was pretty good insight, because he's been in the industry for a long, long time, and he knows his stuff, and he had no affinity towards Dragonheir or the publisher or anything like that. So, and I've heard that from a few people, that this was even AFK Journey. I could just keep naming all the games that come out in the last year or so. A lot of people, this holds a special place in their heart. But we talked last video, in case you guys missed it, about we thought the seasonal model was really a bad thing for this game. We talked about the social dynamics of it, you can't play with your friends, very difficult to experience the same thing, and as a community as well, it's hard to be hyped about something that you won't be getting for a year and a half, right? If you're a newer player as well. So let's talk about it, man. Do you think they need to scrape the entire seasonal model, or what is the solution here? Can they maintain any of the seasonal model?
So, the seasonal model in an isolated game makes sense, right? You have a 3-month structure. Month 1 is build your heroes. Month 2 is chase the exclusive hero. And then month 3 is the end of seasonal.
The actual experience wasn't bad. Great. Independently. Yeah.
If you look at a season on its own.
Yes.
And obviously, because of the leaderboard structure, Dragonheir is a competitive game. It's about where you finish on the leaderboard. That's what matters. It's a global seasonal leaderboard theme where, in other gacha games, it's more localized, right? You have event leaderboards or arena leaderboards, right? You don't really have this overarching leaderboard. So to basically fix that, they have to almost rip the core of the leaderboard concept out of the game, because you can't soft launch people into the middle of a season with other people who have already claimed the seasonal leaderboard points, because if they're into month 2, well, they've already claimed a good chunk of daily points on the vortex. You're never going to be able to get back into that leaderboard position. So that's kind of the fundamental problem they have to solve with the season is, how do you still have leaderboard rankings, but you absolutely know for a fact that you need to bring players who are new players to the current season, right? There needs to be a season 0 into season 4 kind of concept. But because they're all sharded off into different servers, that's very difficult to do. And I don't really know how you do it. Some people have suggested you have a season 0, almost new players come in, they play the main storyline or something,
and then they go to the updated season.
They go to some sort of synchronized latest season of some sort.
But they miss out on all the old content too.
They do, and obviously that content used to provide gems, summoning, and all that kind of stuff. And you can't, as a developer, just soft load them. I think you almost have to accept as a player that you miss out on that, because you can then catch up in future seasons as they add more heroes and various things. It's no different from when you play Raid, for example, where you come in and it's like, oh, I've got no heroes and there's now 900 I need to collect, right? They're not going to go, here you go, have like 20 legendaries on us. It doesn't happen like that.
Yeah.
You've missed out on the previous fusions. You've missed out on the events. That's natural. But I think that's what they have to do.
Yeah, I mean, this might be crazy, dude, but like, I'm thinking I would scrap the whole damn thing, I think, you know? Like, I don't know, man. I like... It's weird because it feels like how could you even do that given the structure of the game? And like, to your point, the cadence of each individual season, it feels good. It feels right. It feels natural. But we talked about this. This is the thing that gets me even more so than the incongruity of players. The thing that gets me is it gets kind of repetitive with the reset again and again and again with a little bit of a different skin. I think there needs to be more continuity between seasons, you know? Like, and it's not that I'm bitter about the reset of levels independently, but it just goes to that repetitive cycle, I feel like, where it's just like, okay, what, season 80? Are people still going to be super excited about the same reset and the different elemental affinities, and that's it, you know, and a couple new skins on bosses, you know? So I think they need to kind of scrap it and give more continuity. And I think that they're at its core, I think they could do that in this game, right? Just add more content, but just add it to the end game, you know?
Yeah, I mean, the problem is the leaderboard
Play devil's advocate.
concept.
Yeah, tell me why it won't work.
it is the leaderboard concept, if you think about it, where like a lot of it is about chasing the leaderboard positions. Every week you have that, you know, the mass training event, and then you want to try and get high on the leaderboard rankings. But the game is very driven by leaderboards. So if you take away the season, then what is the leaderboard scaling on, if that makes sense? That's the challenge you've got. And if you don't have a leaderboard and you don't have a season, what is unique about Dragonheir? Well, not an awful lot. And then it becomes the same problem of, you know, what Raid has sometimes, where it's like, well, I log in, I do my clan boss and I do my Doom Tower, but there's nothing to do. Could you just have
events, but that are heavily events that are heavily driven towards leaderboards? You know, like, okay, we have a 1 month, you know, like whatever, like it take like an event, dungeon divers that you see in like a Raid, but map it onto Dragonheir. But, you know, I don't know, like put some parameters in there. Like there's a million different ways they could go, but they could still make an emphasis on these leaderboards in different maybe seasons as they pertain to the leaderboards, but not as they pertain to all the content in the game. As a new player starting right now, I mean, you're starting in season 1, and then you can catch up and play with Saf in about, like I said, a year and a half or so, you know?
Yeah, and I mean, this is kind of a similar problem with MMOs. MMOs have this problem quite a lot, if you think about it. When you get new content, there's a new expansion. A lot of the content is framed working together. But then eventually people progress beyond it, and then all the new players jump in. They're like, oh, well, I've got to go do all this fellowship and team content. I can't do it because there's no players.
How have they gotten around that? I haven't played an MMO since EverQuest in 2001. So
well, what they tend to do with legacy content, they either simplify it to allow it to be soloable, or they will put like artificial empowerment on your character, so you can go in and do, like Lord of the Rings Online used to have what they call inspiration.
Like solo it, kind of.
Yeah, so all like the story mode that used to require a fellowship at the time, you go in, you get like this like massive 1000% attack buff. So it means you don't die, right? You can solo the content. So that's kind of like how they allow you to catch up. Well, you still got to go work through it. That's an option.
I like that. How about that? How about they do that in Dragonheir? Essentially, if you start out, instead of finishing season 0, to your point, right? You finish season 1, you go through the whole process or whatever, maybe a shortened period, but then you have like, you know, a week, but you get to experience some of the new content. I mean, it wouldn't work with the resets it would not work in this infrastructure, obviously, but it's a shame. You don't want to miss out on the content, but I like the MMORPG angle where you still get to experience it, but it's just much more manageable and palatable, and you can still enjoy the content with your friends as well. Maybe you could go back and do it or something. I don't know. You know?
Yeah, I mean, you could position the leaderboards to the end game content and then restructure it. Like, so every time the server completes that end game content loop, it moves like this is what MMOs do. There's a new expansion. There's new raids to chase, there's new content to chase. Similar thing, right? You could basically have that other world exploration expansion at the end of the season, whatnot, have one continuity of a server just continuously going through, And then once the leaderboard is just positioned on the end of the season. So if someone soft launches into like the end of season system halfway through, then they're going to be disadvantaged. But they can prepare for the next one on top of that, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Something like that could work. Maybe you have like, a newbie power up concept where it's like, well, you come into the server, you get this role as a new player, so you're not meant to be chasing the leaderboard, but the leaderboard then resets within a month. So it's only like month on month, but it doesn't become like this hard locked resettable season. The one big thing I think they have as well is gear swapping. Because gear swapping is so free, and the systems in Dragonheir are some of the best gear swapping. They're very good. Yeah. There's just no reason to farm gear. So if you don't have the gear reset, there's really no reason to keep farming dungeons. True. I haven't farmed a dungeon on my endgame account in about 3 weeks. I only do it when the event tells me to, because I don't need it.
Yeah. Are you going to keep playing, Saf?
I'm seeing the current season out on my account on season 4. There's about 7 weeks left of it, so we'll see. I'm finding season 4 very difficult to play because there's just nothing new. It's just the same content over, and even that new rage mode, there's not even much point pushing it because you get less rewards for the leaderboard than you are just for doing it. So you just might as well just do it, not build another team, because you don't get enough. There's no seasonal theme. There's nothing to it. It's literally just like you get, I think 40. You get the equivalent of 4 goblin runs for finishing like top 50. It's weird. I don't know why they've done it.
Man, it's a bummer, dude, because again, at its core, this is a great game. I hope they bring it back with some improvements, right? Because bring it back as is, and who knows, if they bring it back in the US in like a year and you're on season 12, I don't know if I'm gonna be down, so they're gonna need to have some solutions if they do bring it back, or who knows, switch publisher, I who knows. But I'm not incredibly hopeful. I'm not gonna lie that it returns, but I shouldn't say I'm not hopeful. I am hopeful, but I don't think it's very likely, right, that it returns. But hopefully it does. For us here on the channel, it'd be fun to get back into things, especially with some of these pain points kind of mitigated in the future, dude. I just wanted to, hey, thank you. It's been a fun time, and I really want to hear from the viewers too. We'll check all the comments, especially on this video and the last one, to kind of get your feedback. We'll pass on this feedback to Dragonheir as well directly, right onto the developer, so they can make some adjustments for the folks out there who are able to enjoy the game, or if they do bring it back, hopefully they can hear some more feedback. Not that they already haven't heard a lot, from the community in general, but we do have a pretty direct tap as well. So we'll be sure to pass that on. And any final thoughts, I guess, here, come into a conclusion. This is our last contracted, deliverable here in our on our channel. Yeah,
it's been a pleasure, Ash. It's been it's a what do they call it? Bittersweet moment.
Yeah, I feel like one of us is dying or something.
Maybe everyone in everyone in comments
go.
Maybe people in comments can basically say what we should do next. Maybe see what anyone comes up with some crazy ideas for us.
Yeah, I saw a few in the last videos. So yeah, give us your final thoughts, guys. I want to hear if you agree with us on our pain points in Dragonheir. Maybe you disagree. If you like the seasonal model, let us know in the comments. And if you have any ideas of games or for this channel, let us know. Let us know. We're definitely open to a few ideas. We thought about like maybe a podcast type thing, or maybe a gotcha variety type thing. And who knows, maybe in the future, if another game comes along, I think we might have a few that we know about, Saf. Maybe we can do something here as well. But I do think that this won't be the last video on the channel, but it will be the last video, at least for the time being, on Dragonheir Silent Gods. Thanks again to Dragonheir for making this channel possible. And thanks again to you, Saf, for making this channel possible as well, because I would not be able to do this without you, without your help. It's a big undertaking to take on a brand new game, especially with a world as big as this one. And I just wouldn't have had the time to learn everything alone without you being there, like by my side, teaching me as I go. So thanks a lot, man. It's been a pleasure, and I guess I'll see you in the next one, man.
Yeah, man. As they say, dream work. Was it teamwork makes the dream work?
That's it.
And that's what I feel like we've done here. But it's been a pleasure, and yeah, thanks to everyone who has watched.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
All of our many hours of crazy discussions, and we'll see what comes next.
Absolutely, guys. And hey, if you can still play, if you're just picking up the game, or if you haven't picked up the game, you can download outside the US. The link is in the description below. And we have a ton of valuable guides out there, and great content, mainly starring Saf, for you guys to refer to for season 1. So go ahead and check that out. Thank you again for watching. And as always, take care, guys.